Studio, Sri Lanka. Good evening and welcome to the national news broadcast on ChannelEye. We are coming to you live from the National News Studio. I'm Natalia Veeravardhana and joining me is Uin Hettiarachi. Let's take a look at the top stories for tonight. The central bank requests the public to conduct all foreign exchange transactions only through banks. The central bank government says legal measures will be introduced to prevent transactions and imports externally to the banking system. A decision has been taken to limit issuing of gas to the market daily. Senior Superintendent of Police taken into custody in connection with Rambukkana incident has been remanded. 2nd of May declared as a special government holiday. The US prepares to provide $33 billion worth of military aid to Ukraine. And now on the main story for tonight, Governor of the Central Bank Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe has requested the public to conduct all foreign exchange transactions only through the banking system. The governor pointed out that legal measures have been introduced to prevent transactions and imports externally to the banking system. Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said that banks have been instructed to issue foreign exchange to send money to students following education in foreign countries and for medical purposes.
A media briefing took place today at the central bank to explain the measures taken so far to solve Sri Lanka's economic crisis under the patronage of Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe. The governor pointed out that it will take about another 2 months to get a credit line from the International Monetary Fund. He said the measures have been taken to control the present situation under a short-term relief program with the assistance of the World Bank and other foreign countries.
There's a very clear stand from our point of view. All the external creditors will be treated equal. There's no question about that. We have made it very, very clear. India, China, non-Paris Club, commercial will be treated on the same basis. It is not fair for the creditors that we are going to treat one creditor giving different treatment to others, and then others won't come on board. We don't necessarily need to have a full agreement with all the creditors for us to get money from the IMF. Once we make some progress, then IMF is willing to come to a startup agreement and then go to the board to start the extended fund transfer program from that point onwards, and before the first review, which is probably within 3 months, then only we have to come to a complete consensus with all the creditors. For that we have about 6 months. That's why I have been saying that I'm very confident that within about 3 months we can reach an agreement with the fund and disperse some money, and on that basis other creditors like World Bank and IMF also can enhance what is available in addition to already what I mentioned, the emergency financing. They can enhance their support, and also other bilaterals also can enhance support. At some point we will have access to markets after some time, then we can stabilize the situation. And also in addition, the government is basically negotiating or approaching other bilateral creditors, for example like Japan or China, can ask for some kind of this thing. And also there are some foreign investors who have been lined up to invest here, that those money also can come in. So there are several other, and this is also one other thing that I'm announcing today, is to encourage people to send money through banking channels, so that that more money will be available within the banking system, so that we can meet those short-term financial needs going forward. So these are things that we are trying, and with our new team, we are all committed to do what is needed to do, whether it is difficult or difficult choices, we will be doing that. We have to do it anyway. The IMF is or not, that's a different story. But the thing is that we are in line with what they also think that these are the right things, so we will be doing that.
The governor explained that steps have been taken to prevent the illegal Havala and Undial financial systems, which were a reason for the foreign exchange shortage. Parents of the students who are studying in foreign universities and those who seek foreign medical treatment face serious hardship due to the foreign exchange shortage. The governor said that banks have been given instructions to solve the issue. The central bank governor disclosed that the local banking system is stable. He said that a program has been planned to solve the fuel and medicinal issues.
Banking sector, all the banks are very stable in terms of capital adequacy. All these things we don't see in question. Obviously, the issue right now here, the foreign currency liquidity in the banking sector. There are shortages in lack of foreign currency liquidity in the banking sector, at different levels. So state banks are facing higher liquidity shortages, and private banks are also facing a liquidity shortage for a forex liquidity to a certain extent. So that is different from rupee liquidity. That's why I want to give the assurance. And some of the statements made by some politicians are very inappropriate and not relevant at all. So I have to make it very clear. In terms of rupee liquidity, central bank, as any central bank, our key responsibility under the Monetary Law Act is to provide, we have provisions to provide any amount of liquidity in terms when there's a liquidity shortfall in the banking system. So I am giving the assurance that in terms of rupee liquidity, either state banks or any banks, we are behind the banks and we will give that assurance. We will provide pump in amount of liquidity. There are different ways. I mean, if you play open market operation on a daily basis, we provide short-term liquidity. And if it comes to a more difficult situation, there is a facility called LOLR, lender of last resort. All the central banks around the world giving that facility in the banking system. So we have that facility and we can provide that facility. There is no issue with the in terms of rupee liquidity. Obviously, forex liquidity issue is a overall situation in the country. And the country is facing balance of payment crisis, and the central bank is having low resource. And when you have large current account deficits, obviously that is a situation facing the whole country, and everyone is sharing that pain to a certain extent. So central bank is facing that, banking system is facing that. Even everyone out there, importers, exporters, also are facing that situation. That's why everyone is trying to buy dollars from somewhere because they are shortage in foreign currency. Banks are also facing that. We have to. That's why we are doing all these things to address the overall balance of payment situation. Once we address that, we can provide that liquidity to the banking system, to the importers and everyone after some time. But right now we will have to continue with the situation for some time. A lot of these petroleum, gas, pharmaceuticals, all these items have been included in the permitted list in the line of credit. I think now there's a kind of a effort that as much as possible, the government is trying to, or CPC or gas companies are trying to import using the in the line of credit, which is available about $800 million. So then obviously payments are not coming immediately. That's a relief if they can use it first. During the discussion we had with the World Bank and also ADB, out of their existing projects, there's emergency financing. I mean, the minister already made that announcement. Emergency financing needs, they can reallocate or repurpose some of the available funding already committed for ongoing projects, and some percentage of that have been reallocated for emergency financing. On that basis, World Bank has now agreed to repurpose to the amount of $600 million. Major part of that will be going into social safety net to support poor and vulnerable who have been affected as a result of this high inflation, high depreciation, high inflation, all these prices are going up. I think most probably government will announce, make that announcement from next month onwards. For that, World Bank is supporting us out of the existing envelope.
In the meantime, the Litro Gas Company has decided to reduce the amount of gas stocks issued daily to the market.
The company said they took the decision as they are unable to supply according to the demand. Accordingly, Litro Gas Company has taken steps to reduce the number of gas cylinders issued daily from 80,000 to 30,000. The company has decided to give priority for cities and essential services. This method is expected to be followed for 2 months due to the present economic crisis. A ship carrying gas arrived in the country last night and distribution of gas was scheduled to commence today. Fuel was issued from Kolonawati today. Buses belonging to the Petroleum Corporation and private individuals have been deployed to distribute fuel. Our reporters said that there are no queues near filling stations at present. Power cut of 3 hours and 20 minutes will be imposed tomorrow. Electricity will be disconnected from A to L and P to W zones between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. A power cut of 1 hour and 20 minutes will be imposed from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Meanwhile, Indonesian government has made a medical donation of 550 million rupees to Sri Lanka.
The Indonesian ambassador, Davin Tobin, handed over the relevant medicines and medical equipment to the Health Minister, Professor Chandra Jayasumana, yesterday at the Katunayake International Airport. The Health Ministry said that the medicines, including medicines for cancer, are among the stocks. Local office of the World Health Organization has coordinated the donation. Airport sources said that the stock included medicines and medical equipment weighing about 3,100 kilograms. The health minister said 70 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries would be further strengthened by the speedy assistance of Indonesia at a time when it's difficult to get medicine. Professor Chandra Jayasumana said the process took place under the supervision and coordination of the World Health Organization. He said that 20 medicinal drugs needed by cancer patients are among the stocks. He added that it would help to a certain extent to overcome the drug issue. A meeting between the New Zealand High Commissioner Michael Appleton, Deputy High Commissioner Andrew Taylor and Health Minister took place yesterday. The Health Minister said the support of the New Zealand government will be needed to overcome the medicinal drug shortage. The High Commissioner said that the assistance of the New Zealand government and the Sri Lankans living there will be made available through the High Commission. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that he is extending an invitation to all-party government consisting of all political parties represented in the parliament.
The president mentioned this during a discussion with independent party leaders who have represented the government after 2020 election and other representatives at the President's House in Fort today. Attention was paid to establish a consensual government to take forward government functions and appointing a national council with the attendance of political party leaders in parliament as its preliminary step. The president said that if all political parties support the proposals presented by party representatives, we would agree with it. It was decided to name 5 representatives who attended the discussion to take forward the program to establish an all-party government. Discussions took place on preparing a program after getting views of political parties, including Podujana Peramuna, represented in parliament. Former President Maithripala Sirisena, Nimal Siripala de Silva, Susil Premchand, Vasudeva Nanakara, Vimal Veerawansa, Udayagam Manpila, Mahinda Amaravira, Anura Priyadarshana, Vijayadas Rajapaksha, Tissa Vitarana, WDJ Senaviratna, Dayasri Jayasekara, Venerable Aturaliya Ratanathera, Lasantala Gevanna, Nimal Lanza, Jayanta Samaravira, Jayanta Herat, Tiran Alas, Jagat Pushpakumara, Nalin Fernando, A.M. Ataullah, Kevindu Kumaratunga, Veerasumana Veerasinghe and Asanka Navaratna were present on this occasion.
Some party leaders expressed their views after the discussion with President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. MP Vasudeva Nayakara said that they accept the responsibility to work with all parties for efforts to establish an all-party government. He said that they did not speak about the removal of the Prime Minister. Discussions took place on establishing an all-party collective. The President said he would carry out what he should do. Parliamentarian Maithripala Sirisena said that the interim administration is not a permanent government but a first step towards an election. Party leaders had to decide on the duration of the interim administration. There is no suitable background to hold an election at present. Therefore, as an initial step, a background for an election should be created. There is a possibility to get assistance from countries and organizations which give aid. Discussions are held in this regard with the President. He said that the President agreed to appoint a National Council. The National Council will decide on other appointments. The government has planned to maintain an educational activities covering all 3 school terms in the future.
Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Professor Kapila Pereira, mentioned this during a media briefing yesterday at the Government Information Department. Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Professor Kapila Pereira, said that schools will be held every day from 18th April to 23rd of May. The first term will be held from 6th of June to 7th of July. A vacation of 1 week will be given up to 17th of July, which is the first term vacation. Thereafter, the second term will be held until 14th of October, and it is expected to conduct the scholarship examination in August and advanced level examination in October. GCE O-level examination will be held from 2nd to 22nd of December.
නොවැම්බර් මාසේ 14 දක්වා පවත්වන්න. ඒක තමයි සැලසුම. එතකොට වාර දෙකක් අවසానයි 2022 දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ සාමාන්‍ය පෙළ පැවැත්වෙන්නේ දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ දෙවෙනිදා වගේ පටන් අරගෙන දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ 20 වගේ 22 වගේ අවසන් වෙනවා. නමුත් ඒක කරන්න අවස්ථාවක් නැහැ. නොවැම්බර් මාසේ 14 වෙනිදා අවසන් කරාන් පස්සේ මේ නිවාඩුව නොවැම්බර් 15 වගේ පටන් අරගෙන දෙසැම්බර් 23 දක්වා තුන්වෙනි වාරයේ ගිහිල්ලා ළමයින්ගේ පාසල් වාරය අවසන් කරනවා. එතකොට පාසල් වාර 3යි කෙටි නිවාඩු 3ක් එක්කලා අපි අවසන් කරලා බලාපොරොත්තුව තියෙන්නේ.
Higher Education State Minister Dr. Suren Raghavan also expressed his views. Higher Education State Minister Dr. Suren Raghavan said that one of the problems is the closing of differences in the universities. There is a tendency of suppressed opposing views in the universities. Attempts should be made to create an intellectual culture which allows multi-party dialogue.
Sri Lankan Parliament marks the 40 years today after establishing it at present building in Sri Lanka Kotte. The Parliament building, which was constructed on a 16-acre small island in Devanai Oya, was opened on a day like today in 1982. The need for the Parliament to move to another building arose in the 70s, since the Parliament building in Galle Face did not have sufficient space. The construction of the building was directed by former Prime Minister R. Premadasa under the guidance of then Executive President J.R. Jayawardena. Jeffrey Bawa was the architect of the building. The creation was done giving priority to the local heritage. The new Parliament building was opened on 29th April 1982. With the opening of the new Parliament building, Sri Jayawardena Kotte became the Sri Lanka's main administrative city.
The 2nd of May has been declared as a special government holiday. This has been stated in a letter issued under the signature of Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government. It has been decided to give a special holiday on the 2nd of May, considering the difficulties to maintain office functions due to transport difficulties and power issue. 3rd of May has already been declared as a government holiday.
The Kegal SSP, who was arrested in connection with the Rambukana shooting incident, has been remanded until the 6th following an order from the Colombo Additional Magistrate Shalini Pereira. The magistrate gave the order after observing the SSP, who was under treatment at Narayana Police Hospital due to sudden illness. Meanwhile, Kegal Magistrate Vasana Navaratna ordered today to report the relevant courts about the 3 police officers who were arrested when the CID made submissions before Kegal Magistrate Court. The CID informed Kegal Magistrate Court that the SSP who was arrested was under treatment at Narayana Police Hospital and the other 2 officers were under treatment at Teldenia Hospital. The Kegal Magistrate has ordered to report about the officers to the relevant courts and to get them inspected by Judicial Medical Officers Colombo and Kandy. She ordered to submit the reports to court at the next hearing.
The protest in front of the Presidential Secretariat is continuing for the 21st day today. People who have arrived at the place from various areas of the country are staying at the place. The protesters stayed last night as well, reciting slogans at the place. Various groups arrived from the morning and engaged in protests. The protest walk organised by Samagi Janabalawege reached Yakkala town today. The walk commenced today from Dangovita town.
Today is the fourth day of the protest walk, which commenced after religious observances. A group of people, including opposition leader Sajid Premadasa, was present at the commencement of the walk. It is scheduled to start from Yakkala town tomorrow morning and end at Kadawatha town. The walk will reach Colombo on 1st of May.
We now bring you some more local news reports. Police have arrested members of an organised group who snatched gold chains of women travelling on roads in Kalutara, Panadura, Horana, Bandaragama and Matugama areas. The raid has been conducted following information received by Kalutara Crimes Division. 4 suspects have been produced before Kalutara Magistrate Court today. An exhibition of new products organised by the Ministry of Science and Technology took place at the Vavuniya District Secretariat yesterday. The aim is to encourage new entrepreneurs and to find markets for their products. The exhibition includes products unique to the area and products of small industries. A blood donation campaign organised by the Navy took place at the North Central Naval Command Hospital yesterday. The aim is to maintain blood stocks at Vavuniya District General Hospital and Blood Transfusion Centre. Naval personnel, North Central Naval Command volunteered to donate blood. The blood donation campaign organised on the instructions of Navy Commander Vice Admiral Nishanta Ulugetanna. Heavy rains have occurred in Kandy Urban Council limits yesterday. Our reporters said ice fell with the rains. People in the area said that similar rainfall occurred about 6 years ago in Nuwara. They said rains with ice occurred along with cold weather around 4 p.m. yesterday, and thereafter thunder showers occurred. Farmers in the area said that ice affects their vegetable cultivations. INS Gariel ship of the Indian Navy carrying essential medicines and medicinal supplies reached Colombo harbour today. Sri Lanka Navy welcomed the ship according to the traditions. There are 170 crew in the ship, which is 125 meters in length. Commander Sunil S. Patel is the commanding officer of the ship. It will leave the country on the 1st of May after taking part in programs to enhance cooperation between the two navies.
The Met Department says showers or thunder showers could occur tonight in many areas of the country. 75 millimeters of rain is expected in western, Sabaragamuwa and central provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. The department has requested the public to take precautions to minimize accidents by strong winds and lightning accompanied by thunder showers. Showers or thunder showers will occur in areas of sea in Pothuil coast from Puttalam to Colombo and Galle via Hambantota. Sea areas of Pothuil coast from Kankasanthare to Puttalam, Colombo, Galle via Hambantota can be rough at times. Strong winds can occur in sea areas with thunder showers, and relevant sea areas can become rough. We will be back with foreign news after a short break.
گفت خواستگاری
آخه امروز عقد
بابات باز فرو رفته دخترم. قول من که نمی
اگه یه سیرم از عقل تو بهش ارث رسیده باشه تا آخر عمر میتونه خوب و بد از هم تشخیص بده.
چون از تفنگ و تفنگ بازی خبری نبود. میپوشم میایم بیرون حرف میزنیم.
Now on to foreign news. We are looking at Ukraine. US President Joe Biden has asked the Congress to approve $33 billion in additional money for the Ukraine war, which includes funding for US military support to the embattled nation and a mix of direct cash and supplies for Ukraine.
President's request includes over $20 billion in military aid, $8.5 billion in economic aid to Kiev, and $3 billion in humanitarian relief. Biden asked Congress to give immediate approval for spending that would include over $20 billion in military aid, involving everything from heavy artillery and armored vehicles to intelligence sharing, cyber warfare tools, and many more anti-tank and anti-aircraft missiles. Meanwhile, Russia's President Vladimir Putin has warned the West of a lightning-fast response to any country that intervenes in its war against Ukraine and creates what he calls strategic threats for Russia. Britain's Ministry of Defense intelligence briefing reiterates that Russia's efforts are on the eastern states of Donetsk and Luhansk, known as the Donbas region. Meanwhile, several Russian airstrikes hit the Ukrainian capital Kyiv yesterday as UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres visited the city to meet Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky. The President Zelensky condemned the attack, saying it says a lot about Russia's true attitude to global institutions. A man who woke up paralyzed more than 8 years ago is attempting to reach Everest base camp on crutches.
Jamie McHange from Britain has complex regional pain syndrome, which causes persistent, severe and debilitating pain. He said it has been his dream to climb Everest since he was a child, and his trip, originally planned for 2020, has been twice delayed by COVID. He will leave on Tuesday with a small team to make the ascent. His trip was originally scheduled for May 2020 but was postponed by the first COVID lockdown. A second attempt in 2021 was foiled by the last minute when Nepal was moved to the red list. He estimates it will take about 10 days to reach the base camp with his specialty adapted crutches and another 4 days to come back down.
And we are on to sports news. The Australian squad for the forthcoming series has been announced. And this series includes 2 test matches, 5 one-day internationals and also 3 T20 matches.
Australia's A-team is also scheduled to take part in the tour. Accordingly, 34 players are scheduled to arrive in the country. Aaron Finch will captain the Australian T20 and one-day international teams. Pat Cummins has been named as the captain of the test team. In the Indian Premier
And that's all the news we have for you tonight. Join us tomorrow, same time. Good night and stay safe.
Night.